Today, we're doing a little grave hunting. Hey everybody, I'm Kenny. This is Sagebrush Soul, and we are over 1,600 miles into the road trip. And in the last couple of videos, we went to Jesse James's grave. And I've mentioned before that I love cemeteries, and anytime I'm close to some celebrities or something like that, or Old West figures, I definitely want to go check them out. And I did miss a couple in the Kansas City area that I kind of forgot about, kind of ran out of time for too. But before we left Missouri, I had to find one, and I went to this big, beautiful cemetery in Carthage, and it was unbelievable. I was like, I'm never gonna find it here. Drove right to it. And it's none other than Marlin Perkins. And if you don't know who Marlin Perkins is, you're probably quite a bit younger than me, but it was appointment viewing, I think on Sunday night. I'm gonna have to defer to Dave Sundstrom on this one, or Steve Sundstrom on their respective YouTube channels. But I think it usually came on Sunday nights right before Wonderful World at Disney. But it was one of the early nature documentaries or wildlife documentaries. It was Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom, and Marlin would go and doctor animals, tell you about animals, and it was a very unique style. And honestly, when I was younger, I was just watching it to wait for Disney to come on because you didn't have streaming services or anything else you could really watch. But I really got into it, and I get pretty nostalgic every time I hear his voice.
Hello, welcome to Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom.
I was just blown away that I drove right to it. It was insane. But in my research, and this video is going to span over a couple of days, but I'm going to put it all in, and I'm just trying to work as efficiently as I can. But I'm at, I think it's Siloam Springs, Arkansas, and a couple of graves that I had no idea were here, and one of them quite noteworthy, and the others you may not have heard of, but it'd be fun to go research. So here we go. My favorite part about this cemetery so far, because it seems like, I know they all use a pretty standardized block system to find the plots, but I went to the grave finder and was able to locate the names that I'm looking for. And then they've got this cool thing. It's a brochure in there that kind of gives you a little bit of a map, a little bit of the history of the cemetery, and then shows you how to find it. And so you can get the book, find the names, and then make notes on where it's at. They also provide a map that you can circle what you want. There's a pen there and everything. So I've got this, and yeah, it's super handy. So I kind of sort of know where I'm going. We'll see how well the plots are marked out. It looks like they're pretty good. 38. Let's go see if she's here. Well, of course, the first and most significant grave of this cemetery would fall prey to a corrupt file on my SD card. So I'll be borrowing some photos from Find a Grave to get us through this one. Thank you, Brent McBay, for posting these high-quality photos. Alice Ghostley is an actress known for stage, film, and television, but is probably most recognized for being the bumbling witch Esmeralda on the TV series Bewitched. Alice was cremated, and a portion of her ashes were spread under an orange tree at her California home along with her husband, and the rest are buried here next to her sister. Speaking of her husband, he was Italian-American actor Felice Orlandi. He was known for playing cops or gangster types in movies and appeared in Another 48 Hours, Bullet, and a lot more. But he's also on TV quite a bit, appearing in Gunsmoke, Manic, Hawaii Five-0, and Hill Street Blues. There's a memorial for him on the back of the ghostly girl's headstone, but I haven't been able to determine if some of his ashes are here or not. Helen Brown. She's in a bunch of movies, but my favorite was the movie Shane. Sleepy LaBeef is recognized as one of the early rockabilly musicians starting in the 1950s, and he toured all over the US, but in the 1980s gained popularity in Europe and performed in many music festivals there. And his last performance was just a couple of months before his death in 2019. He got his nickname Sleepy because of a lazy eye. He also had a movie credit in 1968 in a B-movie called The Exotic Ones. He played the part of the Swamp Thing. So that was pretty cool. I wasn't having trouble finding the last one, but I'm walking a little bit more because the maintenance guys are here. They're mowing. They got the coolest leaf blower I've ever seen. But they're they're doing a great job keeping this place beautiful. And Shannon, thank you very much. He just came up and he's like, hey, you looking for one? And I says, I'm looking for Sleepy LaBeef. And he's like, oh, are you in his band? Apparently that happens. His band members come, but cool part, I get to make another contribution to find a grave. He passed away in 2019. So I need to take a photo because the marker wasn't here when whoever submitted that did. So yeah, I'm gonna go grab a picture of that. That is gonna wrap it up for the Oak Hill Cemetery in Siloam Springs, Arkansas. I got more. There's a lot more, actually. Quite a bit more that I'm gonna do while I am in Arkansas, but I won't be able to get to them until after the monster truck show this weekend. So the good news for you, that already happened. And one show down, we're at our next stop, Younger's Bend. Gonna go to the grave of the outlaw Belle Starr. And I missed the turn. Other than that sign, right there isn't really any other signage. And there it is. The grave of Belle Starr. We're on the banks of the Canadian River, and this is private property, so if you do come up here, make sure and be very respectful of it. This is cool. I've always wanted to do this one for sure. I read about Belle in one of those Time Life Old West books in probably, well, when I was about 14 years old. Never dreamed I'd be able to make it here. It was about an hour one way out of the way, so I did it. But if you've never heard of Belle Starr, she was the outlaw bandit queen is what she was known as, and she married a gentleman by the name of Henry Starr, who was a Cherokee Indian, but they offered refuge to like the Younger gang and all that kind of stuff. In fact, the area that we're in is called Younger's Bend. Belle's husband, Sam, was killed, and as I understand, this is in the middle of the Cherokee Nation. They're getting ready to run her off, and she married another Starr. But one day, this was her property, and one day she's riding through here and somebody shot her in the back. She was buried there. Not long after that, grave diggers came and stole. She's buried with a pistol, stole her pistol, all of her jewelry. So that, to my knowledge, is the original stone, but all of that concrete there, her daughter had put there, so the body couldn't be stolen. But I guess the previous owners didn't really maintain it all that well, but the new owners have cleaned it up. They keep an eye on it. They actually rebuilt the grave. I guess it was getting spray painted and vandalized in a bad way, so it's maintained. There's some old faded signs, but not a really good clear view on how to get here. But if you do want to come visit, it's just a little turnoff. You almost have to park on the highway, but don't go towards the barn. Turn to the left, come up the path, and you'll run right onto it. The outlaw Belle Starr. We're back in Arkansas after Belle Starr's grave, and we are in the Fort Smith National Cemetery. This is my third national cemetery that I've gone through, and man, they're just such a feeling here. Definitely hollowed ground. We're looking for a guy that had to uphold the law, and he was known as the hanging judge, Isaac Parker. So I just talked to a gentleman coming out of the administration building. He says Judge Parker is right over here somewhere. By these trees. There's squirrels all over the place here. There he is. The hanging judge of believe it or not, he was opposed to the death penalty, but anything that included murder, rape, and certain other crimes, he had to lay down the death penalty. He's required to do so by federal stuff. Anytime a jury brought back a guilty verdict on any of those crimes, he had no choice. However, I think he sentenced 160 people to death, but only just a little over half of them actually were executed. So, said that he had to hold court for 6 days a week, 10 hours a day. And shortly after retiring, he passed away and was buried right here. Two other people that I found will be the subject of future videos, so I'll tease you with them here, but I'll be going into more detail later on. Brigadier General William Darby is buried in the Fort Smith National Cemetery. General Darby was one of the most decorated soldiers of World War II, and he was killed in combat in Italy just a few days before the German surrender. Parley P. Pratt was a beloved figure in the LDS Church. It came as a bit of a surprise to me that he was buried in Alma, Arkansas. Until I did a little research, I found out that he was actually murdered here while trying to help his 12th wife collect her children and move back to the Salt Lake Valley. There are some that feel that Parley's murder contributed to the Mountain Meadow Massacre. Again, these figures will be featured in more detail later on, but until then, thank you for joining me on this little side mission. I'm Kenny, this is Sagebrush Soul, and may the best of your past be the worst of your future.